All right, so special linear graphs. Let's go back to our first slide when we were finding our slope, and let's review something here. So remember we talked about in this first situation, first we're talking about just slope. When we calculated the slope, we got a negative slope, we got a zero slope, and we got an undefined slope. So let's take a look at this little graphical display right here that I had on this first slide but didn't address. And that is that we have four different types of slope. We have positive and negative, which kind of be grouped together into similar slopes. Positive means I'm rising, negative means I'm going downhill. We have horizontal slope, which was when your slope was equal to 0, and we have vertical slope, is when our slope is undefined. So now what we're going to try to do is try to tie this concept of slope to what the equation would look like for those particular slopes. So we have some special cases. So this is our special linear graphs addition. And in the first case right here, we have x equals -2. So to explain this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an xy axis. So I got my x-axis and my y-axis. And I want to graph a line where x is equal to -2. So if x is equal to -2, I want you to consider what that means. Like that means that x is equal to -2 right there. X is equal to -2 right there. X is equal to -2 right there. X is equal to -2. X is equal to -2. So basically, any of these ordered pairs right here, x is equal to -2. I don't necessarily know the y on that one, but x is -2. On this one, I got -2, +2. On that one, I got -2, 0. On this one, I've got -2, -2. And on that one, I just got -2. And like I said, I put y. I just don't really know how far down I went. But the point is that every point on that line is x equals -2. So when I draw, sorry, I got a little bit of lag right there. When I draw the equation of my line, I get a vertical line. So this graph right here would be a vertical line. And we know that vertical lines correspond with slopes that are undefined. So if you have a vertical line, that means your slope is undefined. That means your equation will start with an x. On the next one, I'm getting that dead spot again. Let me hit pause and see if I can do something to get through this. Okay, so my slate for some reason has a dead spot in it, and it only happens every once in a while, so I'm just going to kind of squeeze it out of order here. But that's my x, this is my y, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't really need anything down there. And so now, in this case here, I want the equation of a line where all of the y's are equal to 4. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's y equals 4 right there. That ordered pair is 0, 4. Here's an ordered pair right there. That ordered pair is 3, 4. Here's an ordered pair over here. This ordered pair is -4, 4. And the point of where I'm going with this is just like I did with the vertical line, is that the slope of this line, or this line, once it's graphed, is that, which means that I have a horizontal line, which means that my slope is equal to 0, which means that a horizontal line will have a slope equal to 0 and will have an equation that starts with just y. Whereas a vertical line will have an undefined slope and it will start with an x. Same thing here, the domain and range, that conversation just real quickly. On this guy, my domain is only one number. On this guy, my domain is x equals -2. The only x that I'm using is -2, whereas my range is -infinity to +infinity, because I go from the -infinity all the way to +infinity, going up and down. I come over to this guy, and I look at my domain and my range. Well, it's my range this time that's limited. So my range is equal to +4 because I only get 4. Whereas my domain is going to be -infinity to +infinity because I go on forever to the left and I go on forever to the right. All right, so that takes a look at a couple of our special graphs. Let me see what we have beyond this. So I've got a couple slides here just real quickly to kind of make sure we understand. So you come across this line right here and say, okay, well, that's a vertical line. You question yourself and say, that means that vertical line, that means that my slope is undefined. So if I have a vertical line with an undefined slope, that's going to be the equation of x equals, and in this case here, it's x equals 4 because I'm over 4 spots. 4 spots. So that's x equals 4. On the next graph, I say to myself, okay, well, that is a horizontal line. That means that my slope is equal to 0, and that means that my equation is y equals, so I count my way up, and it looks like y equals 5. All right, so that wraps up our special linear graphs. Use these to solve your homework problems.